And hello again. Welcome to the Marc Oslar Retirement Experience. My name is Randy Cook. I'm here each week with Marc Oslar as we talk about the subject of retirement. There comes a time when you're going to walk away from that job that you're in right now, and whether you're ready or not, hopefully your money is ready, hopefully you're ready. But if you aren't, why not get a little help along the way to get you ready for retirement? Financial advisor Marc Oslar is here today, and as we talk about the issues of retirement and how he helps people make their way through all that. And Marc, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Randy. I love to help people. I mean, this is what the show is all about. You know, we want to meet as many people as possible. And how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I mentioned that, I've mentioned on the show many times about my mom, who has been in memory care for the last 5 years. And we lost my mom this past weekend. And so it was an interesting time. It was a blessing in many ways, you know, when you see somebody finally go to their reward. And I know she's living her best days ever, and it was very difficult over the last 5. But it's one of those things. If you're going through that, I highly recommend you get some help, get some counseling, and learn how to deal with all of that. And I mean, Marc, that is kind of what we talk about on this show, is getting some help along the way in areas that you're just kind of uncertain about, isn't it?
Absolutely, Randy. And we know your mother's in glory, and our prayers are with you and your family consistently. We love you. You know, you're a part of our team, and we just care for you. So, yeah, this is what we want to do with our clients all the time. We want to be there for them in these moments. And in these moments, folks out there, you need help in certain areas, and it might be the need for long-term care. It might be the need for living needs benefits. It could be these types of things. And then a grief counseling and those things. We're going to be here as a family for you. And that's what's important to us.
I think that's one of the things that we talk about teaming up with a financial advisor is this isn't just talking to you about your investments and just talking to you about, what am I going to do with my 401k? You become a resource to people financially. Marc, should I buy the car? Should I rent the car? Should I lease the car? Should I get that place in Florida for 2 weeks, or should I buy that place in Florida? Those kind of things, and kicking the financial aspects of those things around, or something happens in your life, kid moves back, there's a divorce, something like that you become a resource financially to people, don't you?
Absolutely. This is a family office. So first and foremost, we've got me, Marc Oslar. My wife works here, Amy. She's the one that kind of keeps the train moving. And then we've got my oldest daughter, Ariana, who had graduated from UNC Wilmington with a degree in public health, but realized she wanted to join the family business, and she's here. And we call her the CRM because she works on the client relation management system consistently, and it really helps us, kind of move this company forward. And then I've got a gentleman named Chris Carney who is like family to us. He works very hard on the business, and we're very proud of him. And, he's got his law degree, and he's got some serious compliance certificates that really help us in certain areas. So we really enjoy working here at the office. And then my other 3 kids, my second oldest, Callista, she's a junior at ECU, East Carolina University, and she comes back from time to time. But the 2 youngest, Finley and Stella, 12 and 8, they come into the office all the time. And so you'll see them come and go. I'm taking them, I'm taking Stella off to dance, whatever it might be. But as you know, Randy, Stella, she's a handful, isn't she?
She is something. Yeah, that's personality plus right there. She walks in the room. There is no doubt about that. But I mean, in a way, when you choose that person to help you along the lines here, you want that to be a family. And I say, let our family help your family is kind of the way you might want to look at it. And we do this show to introduce you to Marc and how he goes about helping people, and see if that kind of squares with where you're at in your life. So our phone number is this, 984-300-1984. Again, 984-300-1984. Or you can use our website, which is moretoretire.com. So just switching gears here. Last week, you said something kind of fun to me, and that was we were talking a little bit about Halloween and saying there's always one house in the neighborhood that just gets over the top. They don't do Christmas. They don't do Valentine's Day. They don't do Easter, but boy, do they do Halloween. And I found a comedian, Eric DeSalandro, and he has noticed this as well.
When I was a kid, for Halloween, you'd put like a decal of a witch on your window, or you'd use the fun jack-o'-lantern bags for your leaves. Now it seems like every house that I pass, they got Warner Brothers budget. It's like they rented props from the Beetlejuice set. Everyone's complaining about inflation and the price of eggs, but Home Depot can't keep these 40-foot skeletons on the shelves. Where are people even getting this stuff? A vintage hearse? Does Carvana even sell that? And most of the decorations that I see can't fit in people's attics or basements or garages. So they're literally just renting storage units for Frankenstein?
It's so true. I mean, I put all the Christmas stuff underneath the stairs and in the pantry, and I don't know where I put the 45-foot skeleton. I'm not sure about that. But some people get over the top with Halloween. Other people get over the top with their finances. And Mark, we talk about people that are completely unprepared for retirement. There might be some people that you see that walk in and they got stacks of data and they got spreadsheets and they're ready to go and they've got, 16 mutual funds and they got stocks from their parents and their own stocks. And is it part of your job sometimes to kind of evaluate all that and say, you know what, there's a certain amount of clutter here. Let's pare this thing down and get it all focused and give it some purpose?
Absolutely. This is one of the things that comes up quite a bit. People come into the office and you'll have them have spreadsheets, have things kind of spread out all over the place, different spots, kind of wondering why you have several different brokerage accounts, maybe several different annuities and things like that. We just want to understand, what you're trying to accomplish with all of that. Well, I also have folks that come in with nothing sometimes. Mm-hmm. And I said, look, it's good to bring something, or at least bring your brain and answer some questions for me, because then I can actually do something about it. But this is where we start. If you just have annuities and bank money, we don't start here. We actually just ask you questions and analyze what you have. So, that's just the understanding of, okay, you only have preservation assets. But if you have money in the market, whether it's 401ks, IRAs, Roth IRAs, non-qualified money, whatever it might be, what I always tell folks is go to my website, More to Retire. And it's not the number 2, it's TO. Like, I need more to retire. MoreToRetire.com. And in the top right-hand corner is a secure upload button. You can send me an email or a text message, or if you want to start out with me and you're brand new, you can send me that statement that same way. But if you scroll down to the bottom of the screen as well, separate from that secure upload, you can enter your information and say, hey, Mark, I sent you my brokerage information. I'd like you to run a financial report for me. And I'd say, absolutely, because I love starting there. And that's where we go. And so we have a 5-step process, right? On our website is our entire process guide. Under that 5-step process, you'll understand that where we start is that treetop view. We just want to understand what you're trying to do right now and what you want to accomplish before and in retirement. And obviously, as well, when you pass away, because estate planning can be part of it. Now, of course, you have to bring in attorneys for estate planning. When we do the tax advantage strategies, we have to talk to the CPAs and the accountants to make sure that things are going to go, in alignment. So we obviously involve all the financial professionals we need to. But where do we start? A treetop view, and we want to know, what can we do for you?
Well, one of the things about this is I understand everybody says I'm too busy. I can't shut my life down and start this process. I get it. But do you have time for a phone call to talk about the next 25, 30 years of your life? Do you have time to upload your 401k statement or a tax statement and, just take out all of the pertinent information there as your name and address and account numbers and all that kind of stuff, and let Mark and the team work on that for a while and say, okay, here's what we found. We found that there's excessive fees here. Did you know about that? We found that there's excessive risk here. Did you know about that? And these are the things that can come out of that. And that would be probably information that you'd want to know. And that might lead to you sitting down and say, okay, let's take the next step and say, okay, now what would you do, Mark, if we were to work with you, and where would the money go, and how do you preserve the money? What's my income look like? What's my tax problem look like? And all of that. That's why we have this show. So if you don't know where to go, this might be a place to start. MoreToRetire.com. Just spell it out. MoreToRetire.com. Down at the bottom of the page there is a place for you to put some information, and Mark will reach out to you. Or you can call us at 984-300-1984. 984-300-1984 for that no cost, no obligation look at what you're you're doing for retirement. Now, there's a lot of articles out there, and we're going to talk a little bit about financial articles here today. And a lot of them say, you need this much to retire. You need this much. And the number just keeps going up. Incidentally, the number right now is $1.8 million. And despite all of that, when you find out, you would think that a lot of people don't have that amount of money, and they don't. So does that mean everybody's miserable in retirement? No, that's not what it means. 70% of people say their retirement is more enjoyable than what they thought it would be. It is exceeding their expectations. And the reason that they are successful in retirement is having multiple sources of income to cover their expenses and to cover the fun that they want to do in retirement. Job number one, figuring out what you need and making that income happen. So, Mark, we don't have to get to 1.4, 1.8, $3 million to have a happy retirement. But the key here, according to these people, is get me my paycheck. And that's your job.
Absolutely. So let me give you a little contrast here. I've got a couple of clients I'm seeing, and one of the sets of clients, husband and wife, I've known them for 17 years. Okay, they're popping into the office. They're worth several $1 million. Okay. They're in great shape. And what they want me to do is analyze how can we get a little bit more growth on some of the growth aspects, because we've built in the preservation. We've built in the income. We've built in what? We need the growth. Okay. Because we talk about that, Randy, the three things, the PIG, the PIG, preservation, income, and growth. They want a little bit more growth. All right, great. Now, when I see another client the following day, I'm going to go see them at a place that they bought into, probably similar to where your mom might have been at some point, maybe one of those cottages, right? So she bought into one of those places, and she's worth between $500,000 and $600,000. Okay, great. We're actually looking at, okay, the costs have gone up a little bit. We might need a little bit more income. Okay, there's the answer. So here we're talking about one set of people, growth, another set of person, a little more income. But it's not drastic. It's something that we can completely control because we know we're growing the money. So you have one set that needs growth, one set that needs income, or just wants it, okay? And in my situation, as I look at these things, these are the things that we come across. Now, you might be the folks that say, you know what? We have all our money in the market. Maybe we need preservation. So let's talk about it, because we do annuities, we do structured notes and things like that as a preservation tactic in your portfolio as well. And folks might say, annuity. Well, you know what? The biggest drawback to an annuity for a person is really you don't have control over it, okay? In the sense that you're not moving the money around left and right. If you're like a control freak and you have to have your hands all over your money, move it in different investments, more than likely, we're probably not going to be a fit anyway.
Preservation, income, and growth. I mean, your 401k gives you growth, hopefully. It doesn't do much in the line of preservation. It doesn't do anything in the line of income unless you do something about it. So a 401k is not really a retirement plan. It's a part of your retirement plan. So let's check off all those boxes. Give us a look on the website, more2retire.com. There you'll see the 5-step process that Mark's been talking about. And they're down at the bottom of the page, a place for you to put a little information in there, and our team reaches out to you. Or you can reach out to us, 984-300-1984. 984-300-1984. So one of the things that if you watch a little financial news, you're going to hear some jargon out there. And one of the things that they're talking about right now is that the market is in a melt-up situation. So I looked that up. Investopedia says a melt-up is this. It's a rising stock market based mostly on opinion and not on fundamentals. That sounds not good. Portfolio manager Scott Zelnicker is on Fox Business, and here's what he has to say about it. He thinks we're in a melt-up and it's far from over.
I've been doing this for 34 years. I've never seen a backdrop as strong as what we're looking at right now. We have the technology revolution, and we've entered a new chapter with AI. The second component is the Fed. We are now in the era of don't fight the Fed. And then the third is the roaring 20 setup we have. Deregulation, regulation, lower taxes, and improved productivity. Do you know since 1980, the Fed has cut rates 20 times with the markets within 2% of all-time highs? 20 times out of 20, the market was higher a year later.
Now, you watch TV and you hear some guy say that and you go, wow, that looks good. Maybe I should push a little bit more in. Well, let me tell you this. Do you know what happens right before a market meltdown? Is a market melt up. So I don't know what to say about that. So tell me what people are talking about. Are they nervous about the market right now? Are they asking you for more preservation? Get me out of the way of this. They're uncertain. What are you hearing right now, Mark?
I would say the opposite. The majority of folks that I'm meeting with are confident in the market. Now, here's the thing. I've been around. I got into the insurance business back in 2001. I've been doing this for, as a whole, with all the things that I'm doing now over 20 years. And as you look at this and you look and trying to understand exactly what we're seeing here, well, guess what? Well, when I got hired as an insurance agent, 2001 was right in the middle of 2000 to 2002. I was only offered one salary position coming out of college. And that was a hard pill to swallow. So I went straight commission. And just learning the business, just understanding the first recession I ever saw from this side of things. And that was 2000 to 2002. And that was during the S&P's drop of 49% during that period of time. So then as I matured, I got to see the second recession happen right after it in 2007 to 2009. And that was, we called that the Great Recession. The S&P dropped from high to low 56.5%. And before those times, of course, the first thing that happened, right, 2000, 2002, we were starting to drop in the market, but 9/11 did not help things there either, okay? Now, as we built in and had some more investments in stocks and stuff like that, eventually what happened was the market eventually came back around and recovered. It takes the market a little bit of time because fear drives the market more than greed. It'll drop a lot faster and a lot swifter. And then as you climb back up, it takes several years to climb back up. So by the time we climb back up from 2002 to 2007 to come back, that's when it dropped again. So if you took a marker and you took the years 2000 to 2013, you could draw a straight line across with a W, and it wasn't a winning W, it was a losing W. Mm-hmm. A lot of people use options, say the W is the win, but in this case, the W is the loss in the sense that the S&P did not make anything from 2000 to 2013 because of two recessions. So let's just dive back and say this. In 2007, when I was talking to those folks, they were not worried a bit. Okay? Because the market just kept shooting up. They kept shooting up. Now, we have financial amnesia. Mm-hmm. We do. We all do. We have not had a recession since 2009. We haven't had a correction since 2009. It's been 16 years. Most folks are thinking it's just going to keep going. A lot of folks out there that feel that way like the conservative policies, and that can really affect it as well. They might think that because of Trump's policies and because he's a money guy, that the market's going to keep going up. And I think that helps the idea of people with the melt up as well, because I hear a lot of that. What I will say is you have to be cognizant of this. If you are within 5 years of retirement, we should look at some preservation tactics in your portfolio, because if you need preservation, you're going to probably need income as well. And do you want the income to come from sources that are not necessarily fully stable? And what I mean by that is they're not preserved in something that has something of a conservative nature, something that might give you a lifetime income rider. Things of that nature could make a big difference in you getting the income you need in retirement, as opposed to not having that in place.
Well, one of the things that we've said in the past, I love this example, and that is this. If you're hoping that the market's going to keep going up and you're hoping for a little bit more and a little bit more and you get a little bit greedy, if the market went up 30%, is that really going to make a massive difference in what you do in retirement? Maybe, maybe not. But if the market went down 30% and took 30% of your money, would that make a difference in your retirement? Probably so. Probably a major difference in your retirement. So why, as we say, in the fourth quarter of your financial life, are you throwing the ball all over the field? You don't need to. Let's run it out. Let's take a knee. Let's throw some balls to the sidelines. Let's do something a little more conservative. And that's a discussion for you and Mark to have as you talk about how much do you really want in that stock market? How much do you want outside that stock market? Figure out that number, and then that gives us the kind of the bones, so to speak, of how to build that retirement plan. Give Mark a call, give the team a call, and let's start on yours today. MoreToRetire.com. MoreToRetire.com. Bottom of the page, a place for you to put some information in there, and Mark and the team will reach out to you, or you can reach out to us right now. 984-300-1984. 984-300-1984. So Mark's been doing this for quite a while. I've been doing this for quite a while, and I am in that financial news all the time. And I am noticing a difference. There is things that were tried and true just a few years ago that they're now doing a 180 on. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples. Annuities used to be the work of the devil. Everybody was against annuities. Now you look around and they are a viable source of income. What happened? Tax planning never made any to-do lists. Now it seems to be on everybody's list. What happened? The 401k was the savior when pensions went away. Now we do segments about fees, lack of choices, tax problems. The 401k isn't what we thought it was. So, Mark, what's the problem here? Why are some of these things completely different and the opinion on them completely different than they were just a couple of years ago?
Money. You like that answer?
Follow the money, they say, right?
And, it's funny because, like I said, I got into the business as an insurance agent and I started writing fixed annuities. And that we used to call them equity index annuities. Now they're called fixed index annuities. We're just kind of barely new at that point. Mm-hmm. And I wrote a few of those, but I wrote a lot of fixed annuities. And I did that because it was a really good alternative for folks when they were looking at a difference between that and a CD, because if you get into it at the right time, you might get a better rate of return. Then, of course, as well, you have the backing of the insurance company, which has more stringent backing than your banking laws do. So there's where you had a really good financial play for folks. So we would look at that and talk about those things. And guess what was happening? All this money was coming out of brokerage accounts and things like that. And so that's why they started coming out with the DOL law and those things, because they're thinking, we're losing money. We're losing money. Well, when I go on my software for annuities to research every product out there, guess who has access to products now? Investment advisors, their representatives, mm-hmm. broker-dealers, mm-hmm. and banks. Mm-hmm. Why? Because they were losing money, and even if they're going to take it out, they want to make a piece of it at some point. So that's the answer to that one in particular. Annuities, number one, is you'll hear it from at least a large majority of folks that it is a viable option. And it is. If you need it for lifetime income, there are riders for those types of things, and we can share those with you. And we can even go down a list and show you who pays the most, who pays the least, if you want to see that on our software. In addition to that, we talk about just understanding and just getting a feel for why folks want to work with tax planning as a way where maybe it's not a big deal, right? Well, it is a big deal. Mm-hmm. It is a big deal.
Don't ignore this
one.
We talk about
No, preservation, income, and growth, we're talking about income and we're talking about taxes. Well, the two things that we focus on with income is what's the bottom line. So if you did a lifetime income rider with some kind of annuity contract with a Roth IRA, might not be a big deal, except for the inflationary measures as well. Plus, the tax code could always change too. So we need to have our hands up in defense. I was born in Philadelphia, raised in South Jersey, so I'm always thinking Rocky mentality. Keep those hands up, Adrian always wanted to keep his hands up. She didn't want to get to see his head damaged, right? So let's keep our hands up and let's do the income planning and make sense of the taxable situation, and also involve the experts when necessary to do so, right? And then with regards to 401ks, I don't think you should be throwing all your money into a 401k. I really don't. I mean, why not just go towards the match? at least hit the match and you can reinvest the other or the difference, because your 401ks are very restricted and you've got fees, right? And you have different types of fees and you don't necessarily have access to all the things that we have out there. So for me, we have two sides to my business. We have the fiduciary care of the business, the fiduciary standard of care of the business, which is our brokerage side. Okay, that's where we have money invested in the market, and where we have custom client plans with a group called Market Guard. I'm one of only 300 advisors in the country that can use it, and that's in addition to all the other stuff that's available on our custodian's Fidelity Investments. So we've got that over there. Then we have the whole insurance side of the business, which could be fixed index annuities, multi-year guarantee annuities, which are CD types of annuities, but they have surrender charge schedules. It could be if you need living needs benefits. There's so many different things we can do for you. I am licensed for long-term care insurance and Medicare supplement insurance. I try to offer as many things as I possibly can to folks because I want to be able to answer these questions for you. So why is there a change in direction? It all stems from money. But if you want the real answers, set an appointment with me because I love doing this for a living. I love meeting people, and you're going to get nothing but transparency. And if you want to get folks to talk to, meet with some of my clients just to understand that I'm going to be very transparent with you, they'll share that with you.
You know, one of the things about the 5 steps to more, as we talk about Mark and the process that he will put you through as you get ready for retirement, is this is really built on the realities of retirement. It's, you know, you get into retirement, all of a sudden you say, I need income. I need more income. So then maybe we look at annuities, which is a place to get income. Maybe it's right, maybe it's not. What? I got a 401k. Look at the tax problem this seems to be creating. I need some tax strategies. I need to look at an IRA to a Roth conversion. When you get into the realities of retirement, you're going to find out when the rubber meets the road. And that's, I think, what retirees are finding out. And some of these things that used to be not problems have become difficulties in our retirement years, problems we need to solve. So let's sit down and talk about all of the options, all of the solutions that are out there to solve your issues in retirement. What are you concerned about? Let's get it all on the table. Moretoretire.com is the website. Moretoretire.com or 984-300-1984. Again, 984-300-1984. Let's get a meeting to talk about your retirement, and it's a no-cost, no-obligation meeting there to get all your questions out on the table. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we've heard about these buckets of money in retirement. Everybody's got a different idea of what the bucket should be, so Tony Robbins has got an idea. We've got some ideas for you as well. Let's talk about your buckets in retirement. That's next on the Marc Oslar Retirement Experience.
A simple piece of paper. It's something we use every day. For the most part, it does what it's designed to do. It sits there flat on your desk as a placeholder for information. But with a couple strategic folds, suddenly your flat piece of paper becomes an airplane and flies across the room. Your 401k is kind of like that flat piece of paper. It just sits there as a placeholder for your money. Marc Oslar can show you those strategic moves to take your 401k from just sitting there to creating the income you need for retirement. Call today for a free no-obligation meeting. 984-300-1984. That's 984-300-1984. Or online at moretoretire.com.
Welcome back to the Marc Oslar Retirement Experience. Online, you can find us at moretoretire.com. Just spell it all out. Learn more about Marc and the team. Moretoretire.com. You can also, if you're listening to the show on the radio and you got to get out of the car, that's okay. We have this show and a number of past shows right there on our podcast. So wherever you get your podcast, just look us up on iTunes or Spotify, and you'll see us under the Marc Oslar Retirement Experience. Well, we've already talked about it a lot today, and we kind of keep hitting this because there's some of the most important things that you can do in retirement, and that is preserve your money, develop income from your money, and develop growth from your money. Well, in a recent blog post, Tony Robbins talked about his 3 buckets of retirement, and they are a security bucket, a risk growth bucket, and a dream bucket. So that's kind of interesting. That's kind of similar. Can you see some of the things that you do, Mark, and do they kind of fit into that scenario there that Tony's talking about?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's the crux of what we do here. We joke about this because, we both played basketball and we'd play horse, but if you wanted to knock somebody out quicker, you'd play pig, right? Because you could beat them a lot faster. Let's move this game along, get them out of there, right? So for us, that's what we do here is we do pig, preservation, income, and growth. Those are the three buckets he's really talking about. And that's what we want to make sure of it. So if Tony Robbins is telling you, hey, take a listen, right? No, I was a best man at my cousin's wedding. We joke because we're more like brothers, kind of created a term called bruzzin'. And, I got to give him best man speeches many years ago. And my father came up to me afterwards. He goes, "You should be an inspirational speaker." And my wife looked over there and she was like, I don't know about that one. But seriously, if you come to one of my seminars, you'll hear me, and I'm a pretty solid speaker. But truthfully, nothing near Tony Robbins. And I will say that it's essential to understand why it's important to have some preservation tactics. I talk to folks that have all their money in the market. They're super aggressive. They don't care if it drops. They know it'll come back. Well, you know what? You don't know what you don't know. Mm-hmm. And what do I mean by that? You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You don't know if you're going to get hit by a car. You don't know if you're going to have to go to the hospital because you had a heart attack. You don't know if your spouse is going to get sick or pass away. You don't know these things. And it's really good to set up preservation tactics to prepare for certain things that you certainly couldn't expect, maybe getting laid off from work. I've seen all of these things happen, and that's why it's important to have preservation tactics in place in retirement and even sometimes 5 to 10 years before retirement. It's essential. So let's talk about income. If you want income, wouldn't you feel really good about it if it was a reliable source? I mean, everybody says, I have clients that come in and say, I've got a couple of pensions. Great. How do you feel about those? They're dependable income. Okay, great. I love hearing that. That's fantastic. Well, annuities do the same thing because that pension is an annuity, right? Mm-hmm. Now, the difference is this. An old pension or an immediate annuity are the same thing. What does that mean? It means that the asset only becomes income. It is no longer an asset. The difference today is you could have income riders. And so that rider, it could be turned off at some point in the future as well. And all the products and features are different depending on each company. But you could turn on the rider, and if you died during the process, you don't have to worry about how it's paying out and so on and so forth. It's a lifetime payout based on if you use up all your money. If you don't use up all your money, the death benefit goes to your beneficiaries. And that's a huge difference. And it could be a huge win as well because there are ones that you can create with inflationary protection as well, whether it's a fixed roll-up or whether it's a type of indexed roll-up. Those are out there. Those are available. All the features are different. If you got into any type of annuity from 2017 to 2022, we need to have a conversation because interest rates were so low that when interest rates shot up, there's a huge difference in that product and the way it was priced then with the way it's priced now. More than likely, you've had very low returns and you're very unsatisfied. And I'm not saying that that's the case. I'm saying it's very possible. And I'd like to have a conversation. I'd like to investigate, and I'd like to share information with you. But preservation, income, and then growth. So if my clients have preservation down, if they have income down, and then we have this money where we can kind of play with for the next 10 to 20 years, we want to make a growth model, right? And so that's when we start looking at the market money. We start looking at how we can put together, we have one particular model. It's called the Market Guard Opportunity Model. It's a growth model. It stays standard in 100 different positions, but it changes quarterly, right? There's a rebalance, a reallocation every quarter. And I'm just going to be honest with you people. We just charge a fee, a flat percentage fee for managing that money. There's no commission out of that. This is how we operate. And are we the cheapest? No, we're the best. And that's what we want to show you.
That idea of having three buckets is very common, but it really does all come down to what Mark talks about: preservation, the preservation of your money, building income in your money, and building growth off your money. How is that all going to work? You wonder what your 401k is going to do for you in retirement? Well, there's an answer right there. Let's figure that out, how that all works. How do you get paid in retirement? How do you eliminate that or just push that worry off that I'm going to run out of money? How do we do that? Well, that's a conversation for you and Mark, and to sit down and really crunch some numbers. Moretoretire.com is our website. Moretoretire.com or 984-300-1984. 984-300-1984. Well, last week we talked a little bit about Social Security, and there was an idea there from two politicians that said, we're going to borrow a bunch of money, we're going to invest it, we're going to use the stock market, and that will solidify Social Security. And I went, it doesn't sound too good to me. Well, here's another one, and this is not from any politician, okay? This comes from American Enterprise Institute. They say, no matter what, no matter how much you've put in, the cap on Social Security checks will be $2,000. All right? So you could be a very high earner, you could be a lower earner, but what you're going to get is a max of $2,000 a month. And that will help solve the Social Security problem. So, Mark, how many of your people that you work with are getting more than $2,000 a month? Because it seems to me a lot of people take a hit if that was going to be the case here.
Oh, yeah. Well, Randy, I've been paying Social Security taxes for over 30 years. Mm-hmm. I don't like hearing something like this. This is not encouraging. What we like to do here on the show is we like to share information of, hey, everybody has an opinion, and we understand what that could possibly mean, okay? But the point is this, that we understand that there's a possibility Social Security could get reduced by as much as 20% or more if the Social Security fund isn't corrected, right? So if we are not going to protect that trust fund and actually have it active, then that means that the majority of things are just going to be coming from Social Security taxes to make up the difference. And that's where people are losing money. Now, this is an easy fix. All we have to do is have a conversation with, hey, let's not fully rely on your Social Security as a part of your income. Let's consider it being 20 to 30% less than what it is. Let's focus on the remainder, and let's make a solid plan for you. That's an easy way to look at it, Randy.
Yeah, the idea that Social Security might go down, let me say this. When you see a headline that Social Security is going bankrupt, that implies it's going away. And that's not necessarily true, because Social Security comes out of people's paychecks. As long as people are working, there will very likely be Social Security. So right now they're looking at paring back what you've been promised. Well, maybe those politicians will kick it in gear in the next 6-7 years and fix this. Maybe they won't. And if they don't, you got to look at that and say, I was going to get $3,000 a month. Now I'm getting $2,500. Where's the $500 coming from? Simple as that. So figure that out. Let's have that conversation. If this is one of the big concerns that you have and say, I think I should get Social Security really fast. I should go at 62, even though I'm working. Let's talk through that. Moretoretire.com is the website. Moretoretire.com. Bottom of the page, a place for you to put some information. You want to start the conversation about your retirement? We're here to listen. Moretoretire.com or 984-300-1984. 984-300-1984. All right, I'm a golfer, and many of you are out there, good or bad, whatever. You know what a gimme is. Somebody knocks the ball really close to the hole, and then you take your putter and you put it in the hole, and you go, and if it's inside the grip, you call it a gimme. So you say, that's good. You don't even have to putt that. And so it's easy, right? So, Mark, are you a golfer? Have you ever been a golfer? Have you ever done this?
I have golfed in the past. I have not golfed in several years, and that's simply because I have a bunch of kids that range in age, 24 all the way down to 8. And I always say, when the 8-year-old gets a little older, me and my wife will drive right back into it and have a good time.
There you go. There you go. Well, while you're not golfing and while you're helping people with their retirements, the idea of a gimme, the easy stuff. What are if you were to check them off, the easy things, the first things that we've really got to look at with retirement planning? Do you have this done? Do you have this? Do you have this? What would be the gimme list?
Well, you know how we talked about earlier, the folks out there saying, "Oh, you need $1.8 million to retire." Mm-hmm. It's a complete falsehood.
Yeah, you don't need that. Okay.
You don't. I got folks that are worth more. I got folks that are worth much less. Mm-hmm. It's not a big deal.
Okay.
What we need to check off the list are several important things, which are what's your income going to be when we retire, and what are your expenses going to be, and are we ready for taxes and inflation?
Okay.
We got to check those off the list. Now, if we decide that it really helps your expenses to pay off some debt, a mortgage, things like that, those are some of the things we might want to address as well. Because sometimes when you remove a payment from your stream, I got a client right now, he really wants to pay off his mortgage because he's selling one of his properties that happens to be a business. And we look at it and we say, and I get it. Look, one of them is a higher interest rate, one's a lower interest rate. He wants to pay it off. I get it. I understand why he wants to do it, because it's going to lower the payments coming out of his pocket. It's going to take a little bit of pressure off, and that's the key. You don't want to always constantly taking your hand up against your shirt and feeling that pressure, right? Because when you get pressure, what happens is you make bad decisions because it becomes the wrong type of dopamine. It gets into your brain, and you start to realize, I'm stressed out. I'm not feeling good. I'm stressed out. And you can make some really bad emotional decisions. We don't want you to make bad emotional decisions. We want you to look at things, understand the important things that might be emotional to you, and then make a rationalized decision based on answering those questions. So preservation, income, and growth, we want to get that income from preservation tools. I really don't want to do it from market money if we don't have to, but we could do it from some market money if we want to. I know people might say, "Oh, I like the self-cover calls." Well, you can do that yourself. I'm not going to do that for you, okay? That's definitely on the riskier side of things, all right? You might say, "Well, I like dividend stocks." Well, I have a different opinion. I like structured notes over dividend stocks. So if you want dividend stocks, you could do that on your own, and I can help you with the rest as well. But I definitely want to build in some other income planning provisions that have preservation tactics like annuities, because if you don't have it, I think it's essential to have something that says it's a lifetime income. And if it does, like that type of rider, then we can answer those questions.
So when you think about your list, as you're listening to this right now, do you have all of those things in place? Do you have your income figured out? Do you know what your paycheck is in retirement? Do you know that right now? Probably not. Do you know what your expenses are now? I've gone through this where you go through everything that you pay, and boy, it is it's an eye-opening experience when you start to figure out what's going out. Now you have to figure out what's going in, all of that. If you have a 401k, are you headed for a tax problem? Do you have inflation built into your retirement plan where as prices go up, your income goes up? Do you have all of that? What about Social Security? What about debt? What about health care? If you knock all those things off the list, you're probably going to be in a better spot than you were before that. And this is where the conversation begins with Marc. Give him a call. Go to the website. Let's talk about your retirement. Moretoretire.com. Moretoretire.com or 984-300-1984. It's a no-cost, no-obligation call and meeting. 984-300-1984. So as much as we sit here and talk about getting a financial advisor in your life, getting that kind of help that you need when you go into retirement. The fact of the matter is, if there's 100 people in the room, 75% of them, 75 people do not use a financial advisor. Why? So here's the list. It's the common reasons that people don't use an advisor. Marc, the first one is finding someone you can trust. I get that completely. This is like opening up the underwear drawer and showing you everything in my life that might not be good because people make mistakes with their money.
Oh yeah, this is a big one, Randy. This is definitely number one on the list. I mean, people come to my dinner seminars for three reasons. One, they're looking for a new financial advisor, right? Mm-hmm. Two, they just want a nice meal. Okay.
Okay.
And three, they're shopping around so much because they don't trust. And that's the thing is you don't know me, but you can get to know me. You can get to know me. I bet you over a 3 appointment process with me that you would feel really good about the suggestions I make. And that's just simply because of the time and the questions that we ask and we answer. Now, you could do something like you could build your income, your assets, everything you do 10 different ways. So my opinion might help, and we could always make adjustments and switches and changes. But I will say, number one, they have a hard time trusting. I've got someone I'm talking to right now that saw one of my TV commercials on the Money Report, where we report on things on television. It could be on ABC or CBS, just depending on the weekend. And when we talked about this, and this is local, of course, but when we talked about this, she's gotten to know me quite a bit, but here's the issue. The issue is she had rolled over a lot of her other assets, 401k, stuff like that, to another advisor. And when I ran a report for her, it was quite shocking. I mean, why are you taking on so much risk with less potential return? And so those are the answers we want to get. And it's hard for somebody to trust after you show them that stuff, but I'm very transparent, Randy. I share that.
Yep. That's something that you should know, that if you have an advisor right now, get a second opinion. Find out, dig in a little bit with somebody else to find out what they're doing and is it best for you. Next one on the list is cost. People think that a financial advisor is going to be very costly. That's just for rich people. Tell me a little bit about how you talk about what you charge.
Sure. So like I said before, we're not going to be the cheapest, but do you want the cheapest? Are you going to go out there and buy plastic or glass? I mean, the truth is we're going to do the very best we can for you. So when I share information with folks, I want them to know I don't plan to ever be the cheapest, and I don't want to be the cheapest. I want to be one of the best ones out there. And the way that we go about it is we're actively managing your money. So we know that in a lot of our portfolios, we're moving things around for you constantly and consistently because things change. If you remain constantly in one place or one position, that's not going to necessarily help you adjust with the rest of what's happening in the market. So we focus on these things. Most recently, I saw a rebalance reallocation where we went a lot heavier in large cap, and I get it. I see the reasons why, and I can share those with you in person on an appointment and describe those things to you. But in terms of how we go about charging, our objective is to do such a good job for you, you never feel that cost. Now, ultimately, I know we do a great job, and I know we can help. I know we can be a good resource for you. We're looking for a relationship. That's what's important to us. Whether it is in person or on Zoom, we're looking for a relationship, a real relationship, because we want to be friends with you, and we want to give you help. Our objective in this is help.
It's pretty easy to go and look at two things and say, this one costs more than the other. But at the other side of that is, what do I get for what I pay? If you're getting good value and good service, I'm willing to pay more if I'm going to get good value and good service of what I want. Maybe that's the way you feel as well. Next one on the list here of why people don't use a financial advisor is they feel, I can do this myself. I've got a 401k. I've been doing fine so far. Just address that a little bit, because it's different in your working years when you're putting money in. It's different in your retirement years when you're taking money out. The dynamic's a little different there, isn't it?
Well, of course. You're managing your own money. You're doing this thing. Okay. I would describe that as having a stake out at Applebee's. Okay. You have a stake at Applebee's. Now, if you hire just a regular financial advisor that's just sitting in static positions, you're not moving anything around or adjusting or changing or switching, you're just long hold, then I would call that you're stepping up to maybe an Outback. But when you work with folks that move money around, give you advice in several different areas, work with other professionals, finding tax advantage strategies through other professionals like CPAs, attorneys all over the country. Now you're stepping into a risk, Chris. And you got to figure out what kind of steak do you want to eat. So what I would say is, give me an opportunity. I would love to show you how we can elevate this for you.
You're listening to the Marc Oslar Retirement Experience. We're going through a list here at the end of the show and almost finished up here today about why people don't use financial advisors. And one of the things at the very end of the list here, Mark, is I'm afraid of judgment. I've made some mistakes in my life. I got myself in financial trouble. I dipped into my 401k. I'm kind of embarrassed about all that. Okay. I can't believe that you're shaking your finger at people. I got to believe that you're looking at people say, here's where we are. Let's go from here.
Yeah, I mean, we all have that embarrassment syndrome, right? But guess what? That's not from God. That's from the enemy, okay? I'm just going to lay it out plain as day. Let it go. Pray it off, and you will be free of that. What we have to do is grab what you have now and move forward. Forget all of the fear of the judgment. There's going to be people that want to do that to you left and right. Hey, forget about it. Throw it over the shoulder. It's over. Let's move forward, and let's do what we can do moving forward from this point. There is no judgment. This is the no judgment zone here at the Marc Oslar Retirement Experience. Go to the website, moretoretire.com. We want to show you all of our resources. You can look us up on Apple or Spotify as well for the Marc Oslar Retirement Experience. You can listen to our shows on our website. You can look at the commercial resources. You can look at our process guide. Just get to know us a little bit. We'd love to share it with you. Look, our office is at 919 Kildare Farm Road. Do we get a better address than that? Our area code is our address. It's fantastic. We're near the corner of Kildare Farm and Maynard Road. Let me know you want to come in for a visit. We'll set up an appointment, and I'd be glad to meet you.
Let's get it on the calendar and make an appointment and talk about your retirement. Moretoretire.com, as Mark said, or the number is 984-300-1984. Again, 984-300-1984. That is all the time we have this week. We hope you have a great weekend, and we will be here next weekend. We hope you will be too on the Marc Oslar Retirement Experience.
Insurance products are offered through the insurance business Marc Oslar Retirement Experience. Marc Oslar Retirement Experience is also an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth LLC, a registered investment advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Marc Oslar Retirement Experience are not subject to investment advisor requirements. Investing involves risks, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing carrier. This radio podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be considered as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Marc Oslar Retirement Experience is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute legal or tax advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein are provided by third parties that have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Marc Oslar Retirement Experience. Market Guard is a firm that provides investment signals as well as portfolio allocation recommendations for a wide variety of model portfolios. Market Guard does not offer advice or enter into fiduciary relationships. Please remember that converting an employer plan account to a Roth IRA is a taxable event. Increased taxable income from the Roth IRA conversion may have several consequences. Be sure to consult with a qualified tax advisor before making any decisions regarding your IRA.